What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading. Today, we're going to take a look at 3 altcoins that have insane potential that you need to be paying attention to over the next few months. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. Before we get started, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. It's just my personal analysis of these altcoins. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion that we have, the better traders and the better investors we're all going to become. So first things first, guys, before I dive into any of these altcoins, I need to make it clear that these are altcoins that I hold as part of my personal portfolio. My positions in these altcoins are fairly small, like relative to my Bitcoin holdings and other holdings. In case you haven't noticed, I do have a Bitcoin flag behind me. But in any case, so these are just all altcoins that I hold. These are all mid caps. So, I'm not like looking to pump anything here. I just genuinely think that these 3 altcoins have a lot of potential and everyone is just basically sleeping on them. So the first one here, of course, is Osmosis. And of course, you look at the chart, that we're looking at the long-term chart here of Osmosis. And I'm sure people that come across this chart are just thinking this thing is horrible. It just keeps having lower lows, and it just looks horrible. Why would this thing ever pump? Very simple, guys. If you look at a map of zones, which basically shows you the map of the Cosmos ecosystem, I guess as a quick background for those of you who don't know, the Cosmos ecosystem is like one of the biggest crypto ecosystems, you could say. There's a lot of Cosmos-based blockchains, like they all use the same kind of I guess format, for lack of a better term, and of course even like these big exchange chains like Binance chain and this KuCoin chain and all these and Kronos, all these chains actually use the Cosmos standard. So it's actually a very, very big ecosystem with a lot of market cap, and this ecosystem is super interconnected. And where Osmosis plays a role here is that Osmosis is basically the largest DEX within this massive ecosystem, which again consists of over 100 plus blockchains. And this map of zones website is super cool. It lets you see basically how all these chains are connected, and you can even see the transactions going between them in real time. Super interesting. And you can see here, guys, that over the last 30 days, Osmosis is among the top 3. As a quick fun fact, the reason why Noble, which at the time of shooting does not have a token, the reason why Noble is number 1 is because it transports stablecoins, just as a fun fact. And of course, Say, that's a super popular one. It's super fast, basically EVM compatible Cosmos chain. But the reason why Osmosis here is in the top 3 is basically because, again, like all these kind of swaps between all these different tokens, all those swaps happen on Osmosis. And of course, that does kind of create demand for the Osmo token. And there's also, of course, lots of demands for fees, not just from like the trading pairs. Osmosis has also been getting into like Bitcoin DeFi, trying to get a lot of Bitcoin liquidity on its chain. And you can see that over the last 30 days, there's been over, I guess, like $260 million of bridged volume, which is pretty crazy. That's more than double the size of Osmosis's market cap, which is pretty crazy to wrap your head around, right? So like this is a pretty popular protocol, and I do think it's one that's going to get a lot of traction. But of course, that begs the question: what will be the catalyst that causes Osmosis to pump? Like, what will get it out of this slump? And of course, the answer is kind of the same as for all of Cosmos's ecosystem, which hasn't been doing too good this cycle so far. And I've been saying now for a few months is that I think that the catalyst that will cause the Cosmos ecosystem to pump is the launch of the XRPL EVM sidechain, which will be happening later this month. Well, I mean, I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but basically it's been strongly suggested that it's going to happen later this month, because it was, I think, recently reported that it's going to happen in Q2, and Q2 ends at the end of this month. And not only that, but there's going to be an ETHCC conference later this month, like this huge Ethereum conference. Of course, XRPL EVM sidechain is EVM based, so I think there's a high chance that either it will launch on that like at the end of the month, or we'll get some announcement that will say it will be launching like shortly afterwards. And why is this so important? Well, of course, XRP is one of the largest cryptos by market cap. When this EVM sidechain launches, which is Cosmos based, by the way, not sure if I mentioned that already, but this XRPL EVM sidechain is Cosmos based. And what that is basically going to do is it's going to significantly increase how would I say, well, first of all, it'll increase the on-chain liquidity, because you'll have a lot of like DeFi activity on the XRPL EVM sidechain, lots of people borrowing against XRP. A lot of that money is going to flow into these Cosmos chains because they're super easy to kind of bridge to and from. So that's one thing. And the second thing as well is that you will have a lot of interest and activity around the Cosmos ecosystem in general, because I'm sure that when this chain launches, people are going to be like, wait a minute, this Cosmos base, that's super cool. I wonder what other Cosmos chains there are, right? And then this is how these other smaller kappa, you could say like Cosmos chains get found. And of course, the question is how do you trade these smaller kappa Cosmos chains? You have to go to Osmosis, right? So that's kind of like the fundamental, let's say, bullish case kind of catalyst idea. And looking here at the chart over the last, let's say, year and a half, Osmo is looking pretty rough, as in case you couldn't tell in the first image here. Osmo looks super rough, but as you can see, it's basically been kind of trading within the same zone here, you could say, for almost like a year and a half. It's basically just been chopping, let's say, between around, well, 20 cents, let's say, roughly speaking, and somewhere around $1.6, $1.7 $1,000. And the reason why I circled these two zones here is because I do think we're kind of seeing a repeat, I guess an opposite repeat, let's say, of what we saw early last year. Early last year, there was like a deviation to the upside in Osmo's price, and right now I think we're seeing a deviation to the downside. And I think what follows after that is going to be a recovery back up to this upper range somewhere here around 1.5, $1.6, and then eventually Osmo will break above that. And of course, rallying, from whatever it is now around 17 cents up to 1.6, $1.7, that would be a 10x just to basically retest that upper level of the range, which is probably going to happen at some point, assuming the bear market's complete, or sorry, assuming the bull market's completely over, which I don't think that it is. But in any case, eventually it's going to get up here, and then it's probably going to break above that, and from there it would probably go even higher, maybe somewhere up to around $3. So you'd be looking at around a 20x from the current price, right? And especially if we do see a lot of activity in the Cosmos ecosystem, that's going to take Osmo higher and higher. And not only that, guys, but Osmo's market cap here is just currently it's only around 130 million, roughly speaking. Of course, there's going to probably be a little bit of inflation from these staking rewards or whatever, but the idea of it doing a 10x or 20x is not that far-fetched, because it would only give Osmosis a market cap of like the single-digit billions, right? Like low single-digit billions. So it wouldn't be that big of a move. And you might think, oh, it's impossible, but actually not really. It's basically it's the glue that keeps the whole Cosmos ecosystem together. And again, there's going to be a lot of activity, I think, in the Cosmos ecosystem after the launch of this XRPL EVM sidechain, which I'll repeat, could happen as soon as the end of this month. And all indicators are kind of pointing to that. It's been kind of reported. Even Brad Garlinghouse made some mentions about that. But anyways, if you're enjoying the video so far, guys, I do need to kind of show the CoinVero deals page here. We have a 20% trading fee discount and up to $600 of bonuses on Binance, which we are just using. Taking advantage of that deal is super simple. Just click on this link. It'll take you to a page that looks like this. Enter your email or phone number. It takes 2 minutes to sign up. If you're not able to use Binance for whatever reason, do keep in mind that we do have deals on other exchanges that are accessible to US and UK users, such as Arkham Exchange, and also other exchanges that are accessible if you're having issues accessing Binance for whatever reason. When you sign up using these deals, we get a cut of your trading fees. You get a trading fee discount, and the exchange gets a new user. So it's a win-win-win for everyone. That's how we make our money. We're not paid by any of these crypto projects. I'm not being paid by Osmosis or anyone to shill or anything. I'm just pointing out a fundamental case for a crypto or I guess in this case for 3 cryptos that I believe are actually very undervalued here and could actually see a sizable gains in the coming months. Anyways, guys, moving on now to the second one, which of course should probably come as no surprise, Aptos. It's one that I've been talking about now for the last few months. And just like Osmo, you look at the Aptos chart and you're just thinking, this is horrible. It's just painting lower lows. And just like for the last 2 years, it just looks absolutely horrendous, right? But again, when you look below the hood, you start to see like, wait a minute, there's actually a bullish case to be made here. Of course, as you guys can see, and as I've been noting, the total market cap of stablecoins on Aptos just keeps going up and to the right. And it's actually pretty crazy. There's been a lot of growth of USDT and USDC. And you might think, okay, but then like, why does this matter? Why is this a bullish case for Aptos? Well, of course, as you guys might have heard, stablecoin regulations are in the process of being passed. Hopefully they've been passed by the time you've seen this video. Meta is also planning on launching a stablecoin. All these TradFi companies and Web2 companies are planning on launching stablecoins. And of course, Aptos has a connection to Facebook. It was originally created by Facebook as Libra, and then it rebranded to Diem, and then it split into 2 crypto projects, Aptos and Sui. And in Aptos' case, of course, it does have a closer relationship to these Web2 companies. Aptos is I would assume it has a more close relationship to Meta compared to something like Sui. It has a close relationship to Microsoft. It's, in my view, it is one of the chains that is the most likely to see basically benefits when these stablecoin regulations are passed. Like, it is definitely in the top 5, like with no questions asked. Like, it's been one of the fastest growing chains for stablecoins, and I think it's one of the fastest, it's one of the cheapest, and also even the design of Aptos is very similar to what Meta had originally, or I guess Facebook had originally designed, so that it's very easy theoretically to even integrate to like these social media apps and whatever. But of course, because the price has been down, no one's paying attention and they think it's over. Classic story. Here we're really zoomed out on Aptos, and you can see that basically for the last 2 years, it's been chopping in a range somewhere between, let's say, around $4 and $18, $20. And just like with Osmosis, I do think that eventually we're going to see Aptos bounce from this level, go back up to this upper range, somewhere around $20, and then it's going to break above that range. And when it does, it's just going to keep going up, and who knows how high it'll go. I personally think it'll go to around $100 at the least, but who knows, maybe it'll just rally up to $40, $50, because of course course, Aptos does have a little bit of a larger market cap here compared to Osmosis. And if, for those of you who don't know, it's not the price tag that determines the potential of a crypto, it's the market cap. Larger market cap means on average like lower potential. But again, for Aptos to pull a 10x from this level, I would say that the chances are pretty good. And I do think this is all going to happen over the summer, in case you're wondering exactly when. Anyways, moving on to the third crypto now, we're looking at Helium, which is another one, again, you look at the chart long term, you think this just looks horrible. It's just been going down, lower lows, lower lows. And again, you have to look below the surface and you have to ask, like, what is going on here? Is there a bullish case to be made? And the answer is yes. So I guess I have to probably give a little bit of background here. For those of you who don't know, Helium is basically a decentralized physical infrastructure, DPIN network. The way that Helium works is you have these devices called hotspots, and they basically allow for peer-to-peer connections. And of course, one of the most popular peer-to-peer connections in Helium's case is Helium Mobile, specifically around 5G networks. Like they have these 5G devices, and these large carriers like T-Mobile have been basically using Helium's 5G network to facilitate 5G coverage across certain cities in the US. And they also launched a low-cost mobile plan. And if we scroll down here, guys, you can see how crazy this is real adoption right here. Okay, 300,000 people are using Helium Mobile, and this is just in the United States. I'm actually not up to speed. I don't know if they've already expanded to Mexico, but Helium is also planning on expanding into Mexico with these peer-to-peer networks. And you can even see here, guys, like the total number of users on this network, close to 1 million. Like this is crazy. Like this is crazy adoption, and it's even exceeding like a lot of big investors are invested in Helium. It's raised like $400 million. And a lot of these big investors, they were saying, you know what, we think in 2025 that Helium will hit like 100,000 by the end of 2025. We are 6 months in and it's hit 300,000. That's crazy because again, it's like a low-cost mobile plan. I think they were even giving like a free mobile plan. And of course, you might be looking at all these charts and all this data and saying, okay, I can see the bullish case fundamentally, but what will be the catalyst? Of course, right? Always. What is the catalyst? What is the catalyst? This is where things get a little bit more speculative and something that I think not enough people are talking about, which of course I like to say a lot. But in all seriousness, some of you guys might have heard that the SEC is basically looking into having a temporary exemptive relief framework that would basically allow anything in crypto, like, airdrops, DeFi, yield farming, staking, all this stuff that's kind of been off limits to US users. All of a sudden, all this stuff will be allowed. Why does this matter in terms of Helium? Because obviously Helium is not like DeFi or anything. The reason why it matters, guys, is because imagine a scenario, just hypothetically, imagine a scenario where Helium says users who sign up to our plan and do XYZ, maybe they have like referral program or whatever, you get to earn some of our tokens. So basically, we will give you an airdrop, because some of you guys might remember, I guess to back up a little bit, with Solana, you guys might remember the Solana phones, how they sold out super quickly because they did like a bonk airdrop, and basically the value of the airdrop was more than the phone. So everyone who bought the phone basically had the phone paid for them because of the airdrop, right? I want you to imagine that same thing, not with a product, but with a service like Helium Mobile, I guess, specifically. And again, like this is something that's really hard for people to wrap their head around. And it's part of the reason why I think this cycle is going to be so insane. And again, I think we haven't even seen the beginning of this yet. Like this is all stuff that's going to happen in the coming months. Do you think that people will use any other mobile carrier if Helium says, yeah, we're going to start doing airdrops for our users, where if you use our service, we will airdrop you money? Okay, who in their right mind would use anything else other than Helium? How much faster do you think this number would go up? And again, part of the reason why this number is going up, in case you didn't know, is because already I believe Helium was offering for some limited time or whatever, some free sign up or free plan, like limited time free plan, right? So now imagine if it's not only free, but you actually get paid to use it. Okay, like, and it's really hard to wrap your head around like how the economics works and whatever. But again, it's just forget about like, I guess you could say, like the fundamental argument of like how would the economics work, like how would they make this work? Trust me, they'll find a way to make it work, and it'll like the same way with the Solana mobile phones. Like how are they able to airdrop all this bonk, and bonk just kept going up, right? So again, it's just, I don't even know how to put it into words, guys. Like I just think a lot of people are just underestimating the moment that things like airdrops become allowed in the US. You're going to see business models and disruptions unlike that you've ever seen. And like Helium is one of the most adopted crypto projects, period. Like in terms of real world daily use case, like people using their mobile phone plan on Helium. Like that's just crazy. And of course, I know it's partnership with T-Mobile technically. But anyways, I mean, I guess enough of that. Like you can already get the sense that I'm super bullish. But of course, we look at the chart and we just think, oh my God, it's horrible. It's just been chopping sideways for the last 16 months or 18 months or whatever, right? And that's true. And Helium does look like it's basically just been chopping in a range here. And as you guys can see, we're now currently at the lower end of the range, somewhere around $2.5. And of course, the higher end of the range here, somewhere around $9, let's say $10, just to be simple. But again, just like with Aptos, just like with Osmo, eventually Helium's going to rally back up to this upper range of around $10, and then eventually it's going to blast off, and it'll probably be up to like $20 plus. And of course, I guess just as a clarification here, we're looking at just through DEX tools at Helium at the HNT token. It used to have its own chain, and then it migrated to Solana. So we don't see the full price history here. This is just over the last couple of basically over the last couple of years. But I do think that that's sufficient to get a sense of how high Helium could go here in the next couple of months. Just for clarification for anyone saying, hey, it's not showing the full chart. Anyways, but yeah, guys, like I'm super, super bullish on Helium. I do think it's going to go quite high. And again, for Helium to rally up to somewhere around $20, same idea. That would be close to a 10x from the current level. And again, we're looking at a crypto that has a, mid-sized market cap currently around 500 million. And again, like even if we zoom out here to the longer term time frame, we can see that for Helium to rally back up somewhere to around $20 would make sense, because that's probably the next major zone of like resistance. But I do think that it's going to go even higher than that afterwards. But of course, we would have to take things one step at a time. And I do hope that these cryptos start pumping a lot so that I can start reviewing them and people will actually start watching. And then maybe, who knows, a few people will remember, hey, he actually predicted this a few months back. But anyways, guys, if you did make it this far and you did find that information helpful or interesting, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.